Sometimes it's the robots that we expect the least from that actually end up giving us more than we bargained for. My name is Jamie Andrews, and we are going to take a look at the Roborock Q Revo, which is part of Roborock's midline Q series. I reviewed the Q7 Max Plus last year and thought it was a decent value with excellent performance. The Q Revo is akin to many flagship robots, as it includes nearly every feature I have tested in a top-of-the-line robot vacuum. It has a very powerful 5500 Pascal vacuum motor, object avoidance, carpet detection, and lifting spinning mopping pads. The dock has the same exact features as the more expensive Ultra dock, including the ability to empty the robot's internal dustbin, wash and dry the mop, refill the onboard water tank, and it also supports fast charging. It even has large water tanks. The robot itself is a basic flat black with only a bit of gold color on the lid. It's not going to win any beauty awards for sure, but it doesn't really need to. Around the front is a first for the Q series, which is Reactive Tech Object Avoidance System. This does not have a camera like found on the more expensive S series, as it uses what Roborock calls structured light to detect certain objects in its path. This should be perfect for those who care about privacy and don't want a camera. Up top, we have two buttons, which are a power button and a home button. The LiDAR cover does contain a clickable sensor to protect from damage. Around back, we see a pair of charging contacts and an inlet for the onboard, rather smallish 80 milliliter water tank, which gets refilled each time it goes back to the dock. On the backside, we have a dust extraction port that connects up with the dock to empty the robot's internal dustbin. Under the top lid, we have a QR code to set up the robot and a Wi-Fi reset and indicator light. The dustbin is an average 350 milliliters in size and has two openings, one for dirt extraction and the other to allow more airflow. The filter looks to be the standard washable paper filter. Flipping the robot over up front, we have a set of 4 cliff sensors, a dedicated carpet sensor, and Roborock's new bristle-side spinning brush first seen on the S8. The roller brush is similar in design to the one found on the S7, however the ends are a bit different in the way that they detach. I slightly prefer this new style. Around back, we have another first for Roborock, which is dual spinning mopping pads that spin at around 200 RPM, and thankfully they lift 7 millimeters when traveling to and from the dock and when crossing carpet. The water flow is electronically controlled through the app and drips onto the mopping pads from these two holes. Looking closely at the dock, the cover for the included 2.7 liter dust bag is held on by magnets and has a fingerprint attracting piano black finish on it. Love it or hate it, it will also likely scratch easily, so be careful not to place it face down when removing it. The dust bag is easy to remove and install, but being sideways and low to the floor might be an issue for some people. Moving up, we see a single LED light on the dock, and in true Roborock fashion, no dock buttons either. Around back, we have a nice cord wrap for excess power cord. The clean water tank holds 5 liters of water, which is generous in size. The dirty water tank is a tad bit smaller at 4.2 liters. Both will warn you if they get too full or empty. Down in the wash sink, we see 2 holes used to extract dirt from the robot's internal dustbin. The fast charging contacts are in the back, along with 2 tubes that deliver clean water to the stationary scrubbing disc that will pre-wet and wash the mopping pads as they spin. Here we see where the dock will refill the internal 80 milliliter water tank on the robot. This is where Roborock created an ingenious design with the tray, which is easily removable to clean, and the best part is water can't leave this tray by design. The big white tube hanging down is what extracts the water from the wash sink, and the inside of the dock remains clean. Don't forget, the dock also includes heated drying for the mopping pads, and it dries the wash sink at the same time. The sound level for the dock and the robot are average. I found the auto emptying dock made around 79 decibels of sound from 6 feet away when emptying. The robot on balanced vacuum mode is around 60 decibels, and on max mode it goes up to 67 decibels, all from 6 feet away. The dock pulls around 848 watts and 7.5 amps when emptying the contents of the robot. Now for my endurance test, starting with the most anticipated one of them all, the mopping test, where I used baked on hot sauce on my tile floor and sent the Q Revo out for 2 passes to clean up as much as possible. The water flow was set in the app to high and no detergent was used, only room temperature water. This is also in mop only mode with Deep Plus mopping mode enabled. After 1 pass, the robot cleared nearly all of the hot sauce and quickly cleared the remaining stains after the 2nd pass. Since this is a new design from Roborock, I wanted to show you a more real-life test. So here is the same test, but this time in standard mopping mode, which means it will do less passes over the stains. After 1 pass, it only cleared around half of the stain. However, after a 2nd pass, it cleared nearly all of the hot sauce. This is still better than 90% of the other robots out there. After a few self-cleanings on the dock, the mopping pads were evenly cleaned. How well does the dock dryer work? Well, just after 2 hours, the mopping pads were nearly dry. You also have the option of 3 or 4 hours to dry in the app if you need it. The wash sink was also completely dry after the 2 hours. When the Q Revo approaches carpet, it will lift the mopping pads to clear low pile carpet. I found it to be pretty effective, and it only made my medium pile rugs slightly damp, which is really no big deal as it quickly dries. So what about the vacuum? I tested on my tile floor and I scattered 130 grams of cat litter and sent the Q Revo out in Max Plus vacuum mode, which is the highest setting to take advantage of that full 5500 pascals of suction power. And it was able to pick up 121 grams or 93%, which is well above average. On carpet, I tested again in Max Plus vacuum mode and sent it out to pick up 54 grams of rice. I scattered that on my medium pile carpet. Amazingly, it picked up 52 grams or 96%, which is also well above average. Next, I test the dock's ability to empty a full dustbin after letting Q Revo clean my entire house. And I was fairly shocked to see the Q Revo, although having a totally different design, was able to completely clean out the dustbin, which is fantastic news as many of the competitors can't achieve this result with a very similar design. At this point, you might be wondering if there's a downside to the Q Revo, and well, that brings me to my final test, the obstacle avoidance test. This is my standard test I put all of my robots through, and it has a mixture of things you may want your robot to avoid. The single light sensor in the Q Revo is either not effective enough, or this first attempt by Roborock to do object avoidance without a camera needs a bunch of fine-tuning. This is by far one of the worst obstacle avoidance test results that I have seen, which is sad to say. Consider this very basic hit or miss object avoidance, and hopefully Roborock will refine it with future firmware updates. The Q Revo may not be Roborock's most expensive flagship model, but it still gets every single one of the app features, including the newest ones added to the S8 Pro Ultra. If you want to see what those features are, I will leave a link above and below to that review video where I go over those features in detail. Moving on to the pros and cons, starting with the cons. The single biggest con is the object avoidance system, which is subpar on this model. At this price point, I would normally not be too let down by this, but it stands out when you compare it to all the other excellent abilities of this robot. If you don't really care about object avoidance, this might not be a deal breaker for you. The small and integrated 80 milliliter water tank might bother some people, but I never found it to be an issue for my home. Lastly, I had an issue where the lid on the robot would not fully close, and have not been able to figure out why. This might be an isolated incident though. Now on to the pros. First is the excellent value the Q Revo represents on the market. With the Q Revo having a retail price below the $1,000 mark, and for it to have nearly all the features of the more expensive S series, it means more people can now afford an advanced all-in-one Roborock with the same high-quality hardware, excellent software and navigation, while costing a fraction of the price of the S series. The next pro is the robot's excellent cleaning ability, which aced all of my endurance tests with top-tier performance scores. And then there is the dock performance, which honestly blew me away. And if it happened to include a detergent injection system, I'd say it's the best dock on the market right now, and that's big stuff for a mid-tier robot vacuum. The QRevo from Roborock nearly checks all of the boxes, and while all of the attention this year went to the S8 series, the QRevo deserves the spotlight in my opinion. Roborock changed nearly everything with the QRevo, which was a daring thing to do, and for the most part, it all worked really well. In fact, could it be that I find the QRevo to be a better overall design than the also recently released S7 Max Ultra? You'll have to wait for my head-to-head video where I will directly compare these two robots together and answer the question that's been in my head for the past several weeks. Did Roborock create a direct competitor to their own flagship S-Series robot at a fraction of the price? Follow the link in the description below to purchase your QRevo. If you have any questions about the QRevo, or if you want to see it in a head-to-head against other robot vacuums, drop those comments down below. It takes many hours to create these videos, and I need your assistance to grow the channel. If you found this video helped you in any way, please consider hitting the subscribe and like button, as it means so very much to me. Thanks for watching, and take it easy everyone. Bye bye.